everybody, and welcome to another video here on Philly Sports Network with myself, Liam Jenkins. I hope you're all well and had a great 4th of July weekend, at least a better one than Eagles wide receiver DeSean Jackson. If you don't know what I'm referring to, Jackson posted some pretty questionable content over the course of the weekend, and most of it was largely anti-Semitic, which is just A, not right, B, not acceptable, and C, shouldn't be tolerated by a man in his position. Now, this started with a photo of Louis Farrakhan, a noted anti-Semitic and someone who is the leader of the Nation of Islam. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, things got even worse. Jackson posted quotes which have been falsely, I want to say that now, attributed to Adolf Hitler, basically stating that the Jewish race would extort America in their plan for world domination. It also included a racially derogatory term as well. So I'm not going to read that statement out. I'm not going to put it on this video. If you want to find it, there is an article on our website where you can read it. But if that wasn't bad enough, Jackson then reposts the same image. Sorry, didn't mean to offend the Jewish community. So here's the same thing, but with Adolf Hitler crossed out and the bottom bit crossed out, so the most anti-Semitic thing stays. Now, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with DeSean Jackson's position, the fact of the matter is, he has to be more socially aware. He has to be more self-aware. This isn't right. You can't just post that on social media in a position of influence and expect no consequence. It absolutely deserves consequence. I do feel like there's a difference between this and Nick Bosa and what we saw with Jake Fromm. The latter two, I feel like, at least, are young players. They've just got into the league and there's almost a sense of somewhat naivety, and I don't want to say innocence because the behaviour still isn't acceptable and it still did deserve consequences, but there is at least the opportunity of, look, it's a young player, there are veterans around him, there's a team around him, let's teach them the right behaviour and get better here. DeSean Jackson has been around the league long enough, he's been in Philadelphia long enough to understand that posting anything anti-Semitic is a bad idea. You're 33 years old. You are mentoring young players. Jalen Reagor, John Hightower, Kes Watkins, all are going to enter their rookie season looking up to you, and that's the bar you decide to set. That is not acceptable, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people do obviously compare this to Riley Cooper's situation, where back in 2011, attended a concert, shouted out a racial slur, and was dragged for it, but nothing ever came of it. The Eagles didn't cut him. So now it's, well, if you don't cut him, surely you can't cut Jackson. Well, no, I would rather be hypocritical and right once than blatantly ignore another thing for the sake of being not hypocritical. Now, I'm not saying the Eagles should cut DeSean Jackson. That's not what I would do in that situation. But I do feel as though there has to be some consequence here. Whether that is going to be suspending him for a few weeks or fining him or docking wages or something like that where they can really hammer home that that is not acceptable, that would be the way I go about it. And the reason why is simple for me. That during the events of the last few months and the uprising after George Floyd's horrible murder, the Eagles were one of the most prevalent organisations in galvanising their team, in gathering all of the white players and teaching them the misfortune, the horrible injustice, the disgusting behaviour that minorities in America have to endure most days. Things that white people could never even imagine having to tolerate, let alone live with so often. And you have players like Jake Elliott and Jason Kelce come out and actively speak after that, and what an impact that had on them. I feel like DeSean Jackson very much needs that treatment. He very much needs someone to sit him down and go through that with him to make sure that he understands what he's posting. It's very easy to assume that Jackson has seen something on someone else's Instagram feed, hit copy, paste, add to story, and away he's gone thinking he's sharing the right message without really realising what he's saying. I mean, regardless of what he's trying to say, the fact that Adolf Hitler's name is in there should be enough to turn away. Like, I don't care what the quote is. Adolf Hitler could say, "Fly, Eagles, fly." You do not post that on Twitter. You just don't do it. It's the most disgusting human being to ever walk the planet. You do not post anything that man has said if you're planning to align with it. And then cross it out because people are shouting at you for offending a community. Don't cross out his name and align with the content. You cross the whole thing out. Now, Jackson did eventually post an apology. It was much later than usual. It did seem very sincere. But I gotta be honest, the fact he said, "I didn't mean you to take it the extent in which you did," again, not a good move. You can't say, "I'm sorry you got offended by my content," which clearly is offensive to Jewish people. It's disgusting. That's not right. However, I do think there's an argument that DeSean Jackson's never been the most literate when it comes to press or social media or that kind of thing, and that there is some kind of innocence there. I don't think his intentions were bad. I feel like there were pure intentions, but the actions unfortunately just didn't align with that. According to John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia, DeSean Jackson met with both Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie to speak about this situation today. The Eagles reportedly told Jackson that he needs to promote equality, which, I mean, yeah, but he tried to do that this weekend and that didn't end well. And both DeSean and his reps have spoken to Rabbi Daniel Granitsky of Chabad Young Philly, and DeSean Jackson will be educating himself on that entire thing. So I feel like the Eagles have taken the more proactive approach. Cutting him would be hard anyway from a salary cap perspective. There's already $12 million in dead cap. Guaranteed $4.8 million. $2 million has already been paid to him in bonus. It's not really an easy thing to cut a player like that. And the Eagles do have a lot of young players and could benefit from his leadership. And Carson Wentz also reportedly reached out and tried to understand things from Jackson's perspective. So I feel like the Eagles are handling this the best they can, which is to do it proactively, to assume positive intent, and to try and educate, because that's the only way as a society we're ever going to overcome things like this, is if we educate. Instead of cancelling people and dragging them down and saying this is wrong, well, now I know it's wrong, but why? That doesn't teach me anything. I feel like the Eagles are going about this differently and saying, well, no, let's teach people. Let's help educate our players. Let's help everyone evolve and adapt. And I feel like that is a much better way to go about it. But what do you think about this situation, guys? Should the Eagles part ways with DeSean Jackson, or are they doing the right thing? I believe they've gone about it the best way. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I'll see you next time. See you soon.